Welcome to Fearless and Focused. I'm Brooke.
And I'm Casey.
And we're here to share bold stories, real talk,
and strategies to help you push past fear and level up.
Let's get fearless and focused. Welcome, everyone. We are wrapping up our 4-part series today about goal setting and alignment. We've done hiring, we've done accountability, we've done marketing, we've done best practices, and now we want to get serious about goal setting for 2026 and alignment to have the business and the life that you want.
Yes. And it's, the perfect time of year. First of all, do you love planning, goals and planning and stuff? I eat this stuff up. I love it so much. Do you like doing that?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Another thing you got to do.
No, it's something that I truly love. And I think it's a huge part of the process. If you don't make time to sit down and do this, just like last January, we sat down and I flew out to you in Salt Lake and we knocked so much stuff out. We would have not have been able to do that and get our goals aligned for what we wanted and all the planning that we wanted to have for the podcast, to have for Let's Get Social, all of these things, had we not done that. And not only that, we exceeded what our expectations were for ourselves. We've done way more than we talked about in our planning. So I think it's an essential part and I do love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to walk through just a few different sections of our episode and some ways to help you start goal planning. If you've never done it before, this will walk you through the framework of actually doing it. If you have, maybe it'll give you some new ideas on trying something different. So part 1 is core values. So make sure you do a check-in with your core values. You can't build a house without having a good foundation and a good structure and all of the things in place. And really that really represents who you are and some of your, beliefs and your values and all of that. So make sure that you kind of really focus on those core values. And I know, Brooke, that you have some for your agency. So why don't you share your core values as an example that you have for your agency?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're thinking about your core values, and I'll share mine, but you want to make sure that you don't have a whole list, right? We don't have 25 things. We need a good 5 or 6 core values. And you are going to use them in every part of your business, in hiring, in firing, in everything that goes on in the day-to-day to drive and be the foundation of that. So here's mine, and I've got my phone here that I've got them written down. Attitude and effort, huge. Accountability. Integrity, coachability, huge. Being a team player, and resilience. These are the 6 that I have in my agency that are the driving force that what makes us successful. So definitely, if you don't have any core values, sit down, map them out, what is important to you and what's going to drive you to the next level.
And just to add there, how did you come up with those on your own, or did you do that as a team activity?
Oh, great question. I did it as a team activity. I had mine, and then I asked our leadership, and then I asked my entire team. I was like, if you were in my position, what would you want your team to do or be? And so we took them collectively, and then a lot of them were the same. So I was like, oh, all of these are the same. So we definitely tied those in. And then we came up with those 6 core. So everyone had a buy-in, everyone had an understanding. And yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, I love that. I was hoping that you'd say that. Had a feeling that you would, but yeah, they buy into the whole vision, and that helps with the accountability. So, okay. So core values 1. Number 2 is radical honesty about your weaknesses. So this is what I see a lot of times when I'm coaching clients is they want their team doing all this stuff and they're holding their team accountable. But sometimes they kind of miss the mark of holding themselves accountable also. And they think it's all this external stuff and they're trying to fix that, but it's just not happening. And they're not being radically honest about themselves and being aware of okay, well, what's some of the things that I need to change to hold myself more accountable? So I think that's a huge piece also.
100%. I say this all the time. It is a 2-way street, right? You want your team to do X, Y, and Z. Well, what are you going to do to make sure that they actually do those things? What are the actionable things? So you have to be just as self-accountable as they are. So a lot of the times what happens as agency owners and business owners you feel like, you put things off, right? You're like, I know I need to do, I know I need to have this conversation with this employee, but I need a butt in the seat. And if I have this conversation, will they leave? Okay, well, if you don't do anything, nothing's going to change.
Mhm.
So you need to be prepared. So if you know you have to have that conversation and you're keeping someone in the seat when you know they do not belong, they do not line up with your core values, they are not part of your culture, and they're holding you back to getting to the next level that you're trying to get to, you are never going to get there if you allow them to stay on. So you've got to have the conversation. But if you know this already, then prepare for it, right? What do you need to do? What are you putting off? You're putting off hiring, you're putting off recruiting, you're putting off interviewing, you're putting off all of that. It is a essential part of the process. So get out in front of it so that you can level up. If you don't change anything, nothing is going to change. If you settle for average or less than average, that's what you're getting. So don't be mad. Don't be mad when it doesn't work out the way you want.
Exactly. Yeah. And I love this. This was one of the bullet points. It says growth requires honesty and weaknesses become roadblocks when they're ignored. So that just exactly what you said. And that leading in the next section was, what are you putting off? Make sure you're taking action. I sent out an email this morning and it was all about like, what is one micro win you can get today? So instead of looking at the whole big picture, I need to write 100,000 in premium. I need to write 300 items, whatever that is. I need to sell what during the holiday season. Okay. Don't look at that as the only thing, though. That's going to get you overwhelmed and then you're going to paralyze and not do anything. But what is one micro win, one action step that you can take today so you feel that sense of a win? And then, that'll lead you to the next. So I think that that's a big thing, is just like trying to divide this into some chunks to where it's an actual step that you can take to get a win to lead you to the next one.
Right. And I would be remiss if I did not mention a lot of the things that we put off are some things that could be delegated, right? So delegation is action, right? You try to do everything, you're overwhelmed and you become paralyzed, and that is a roadblock. So delegating and letting go of some of that control and giving that, and empowering someone else is going to empower you to do more and lead you into those steps that you want to get to. Okay, so now let's talk about alignment. And I know that this is your jam, Casey. You are like alignment, alignment, alignment. Get an alignment, girl. So talk to us about alignment, and are your actions matching your goals? Tell us what that looks like.
Yeah. This is my favorite word. In fact, I think this is
It
going to be
really is.
my word for 2026. Like, I've used it so much this year, but next year, like, it really takes a lot of meaning. So I think this is going to be my word for 2026. Have you figured out yours yet?
No, I lag in this area, but that is a perfect one for you.
Yes. And I think that this flows into this section as if, if you don't have your word or some direction, this is an easy time for, a great time for you to figure that out, because this is kind of like the foundation of your audit and what makes sure that you are in alignment. I don't know how to not use that word for matching all of the things that you're trying to achieve. So I just want to read this list because it's a great list for someone to just stop the pod and then kind of just write these down. So here's some questions to make sure that your goals are in alignment and you take this audit so you know what you're chasing, and it feels right so you can be successful. So number one, does your calendar match your goals? Do a calendar audit. What's on your calendar? That is a true reflection of what you're going to accomplish for the year. And if you're not using a calendar, like, that's the first step. Start using a calendar. Does your habits match your goals? Does your team match your goals? Does your leadership match your goals? Does your marketing match your goals? And does your energy match your goals? Which is probably my biggest thing is, are you feeling drained and overwhelmed every day? Because guess what? If you are, the success of your business is going to feel drained and overwhelmed and a struggle. and just like you're beating your head against the wall. So I think that this is, especially for women, a huge piece that if you want to change in 2026, take an audit of all these things that I just mentioned, and how does that look and feel to you? And if it feels off, you're out of alignment. Therefore, your goals are going to be out of an alignment. I hope that explained that kind of good.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I'm sitting here in my head going through everything because, you have put me in alignment. You've done a lot of helping me, with manifestation and alignment and goal setting and doing all of these things. You're really structured and really good. And that's kind of where I struggle. I'm a visionary, I have lots of ideas, I have a lot of energy, but like reining that in and getting aligned, like it was a challenge for me. And so you have been amazing. So I knew that you were going to shine in this area. I was like, I'm not even going to try, girl, you go. But for me, thinking about as someone who I have been more in alignment and I have leveled up on so many different fields that I was, trying to grow in from 2024 into 2025. And here we go into 2026. So if you're someone that's like, I feel good, I'm there, and now like getting to the next thing, sometimes you can fall back out of alignment a little bit because you are overwhelmed with what you have done and what you have accomplished and what you have manifested and put into, alignment, if that makes sense. So just for instance, I know taking an audit with everything you said, and I was mentally checklisting that I have to get an EPA, an executive personal assistant, because I am doing all these things, but I found myself dropping the ball some because there is so much. I'm looking at my calendar and there is so much that's on there because I live and die by that, right? If it's not on I'm like, people are like, what are you doing? I'm like, let me check my calendar and see, let me see, because I don't know. And so that's for me, like that's one of the actionable steps I'm taking. I know I need by doing my audit, I need to delegate more. And I actually need a person to help me in both business and my personal life. So I'm looking for that EPA. If you know anyone out there, by the way, in the local Little Rock, Arkansas area, if anybody's
Plug,
listening, that's
plug,
one of the
plug.
things that I'll be doing.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you mentioned that too, because to me, like, I don't know why sometimes women get so stuck up on asking for help or admitting they need help because, it's out there that we're supposed to just be able to do it all and it all look magical and all of that. So I love that you even brought this up, that is part of growth, is expanding your circle, delegating more, having a framework, what feels in alignment, what doesn't, and doing that audit. So I love that you brought that piece up.
Wonderful. Okay. So I feel like we've kind of went through the majority of the framework. So let's just recap. So first, have the foundation, right? Then what are the constraints? We talked through that. And then, what is our strategy for this and our alignment check? So now we have a final challenge to them. So here's a couple things that you can do. First, after you've done all your checks that Casey gave you on your alignment check, you've looked at this, write down 3 things that are weaknesses you need to address professionally and personally. Because I think even though those things are separate, they bleed into each other. There's just no way that they can't. In my opinion, they bleed into each other. And then write down one major thing that you have been avoiding that has just been holding you back that you are going to tackle first. Those are the 2 things I've got. What do you got, Casey?
Okay, absolutely. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. So a couple more things that you can actually do too is reconnect your goals with your core values. We kind of talked about this as being a major, huge piece. If you're not doing this, I think that you're going to be surprised when you actually do this, how much just effective it is. Do your calendar audit. And then the last one is choose one aligned change for Q1. Do not overwhelm yourself. Don't make it like a workout plan that you're going to do all the things every day for 7 days a week. You're going to work out, you're going to eat, you're going to track, you're going to food, all that stuff. And then you do it for 14 days. So pick one thing that you can implement in Q1.
I love it. Well, I hope this episode has given you guys some clarity and given you some actionable steps to take to make 2026 your best year yet. If you need anything or need some more action items or want to see our list or want to toggle anything, let us know. DM us, send us a message, tag us. When you make a post, we would love to hear what you're doing for 2026 and stay fearless, everybody.
Yes, thank you, everybody. And that's a wrap for 2025. We'll see you next year.
Thanks for tuning in to Fearless and Focused. Remember, success is not about being perfect. It's about showing up, staying bold, and taking action.
If you love this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use a little inspiration.
Keep chasing your dreams, staying fearless, and keeping your focus strong.
Until the next time, stay
fearless and focused.